What's up, everybody? It's Winslow. Let's walk through Sandalwood Nights. Yeah, I never thought about doing this one because it seemed just kind of like not a dull track, but just kind of like a straightforward kind of like minimal. It's very much me stripped back, but it's like one of my favorites. I'd also play this one on accident all the time because I mean to pick Snooze Button Roller, but I always pick this one because it's like right next to each other. That's a weird fun fact story. I don't know. Yeah, so this tune, what about this tune? Nothing. If you haven't heard it, play a little bit. Here we go. Yeah, so that's an idea. That's enough. YouTube's gonna flag me anyway for my own tune. Anywho, you gotta get the minimal vibe, the very much heads down, D bridge 2 head Z, you know, that kind of thing. Ball guys, black t-shirts, no one smiles, you know, that kind of vibe. I don't know. It's also started out as like a vocal idea. Or I wrote vocals to it that I haven't recorded, but I kind of feel like I want to because, I don't know, just one of those things. Like, let's do vocals and never do it, you know. But, yeah, let's go through it the normal-ish way, not get too deep into it, just kind of show broad parts. And then at some point, like, if there's something you want to see, you know, for me to talk over a bit more, me to explain something like that, just stick it in the comments, message me, let me know, and I'll dig right back in. Also, if you catch me during like a Twitch stream, just let me know. I've been doing those more often. But anyway, drums basically sound like this the entire time. Something simple, kind of halfway between like a stepper and a roller kind of feel, just like consistent, a lot of techno kind of feel, drum machine almost, like with the 909 ride, and kind of like a really basic kick. Nothing too crazy. Then I had like this techno idea, because you know, like techno as in not tech house, or that's already, man, I like messed up my hand. I'm getting all off track. Techno, like kind of like deep Adam Beyer drum code style, which is like always my reference because that's like what I'm really into. But just kind of like thumpy, synthesized sounding kick, you know, drum machine style, but like a little boom, like another kick that also kind of plays the bass line element, which is why you have like these both not fighting, but complementing each other. And that little one has just like that extra one that has a bit of reverb to give it a little room, you know, to not full on, like if I reverb like that kind of like really techno feel, which I've done in a different track, but just something like boom, 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 boom. And then because of the bass line, just like, it's just a drone, and it all like the kick and bass and everything kind of works together, kind of like in a techno kind of way. And that's the foundation of it. Then the rest of the drums is like a little snare, clappy kind of thing. Clap every other couple. This is snare taken out of a loop. What's the whole loop sound like? Because that's normally what I get. What I do is just, you know, find loops, nab stuff out of those. Yeah, like a regular drum loop. Yeah, and part of that kick out of that loop is in there for that little extra kick layer. Then we got percussion, pretty simple. It's an 808 type hi-hat. These might be those the ones everyone kind of uses, like everyone is no, they're not the gold baby ones. They're I can't remember what this abbreviation is, but one of those. Very useful, Duncan. Here we go. Little shaker loop, which just nabbed it out of a drum break. What's this other one? That's just a bounce. We got this. Another shaker. Shakers, one pan to little left, one pan to little right. And that ride, which is very much like the tail of the ride. Yeah, because if I slide it over, you really get that. Yeah, so I just kind of wanted the effect, and then it ducks with or against the kick or from the kick, however you want to word that. Again, it's all about like the kind of techno-y drum and bass feel. And what is these? There's like little reverses every now and then. Yeah, reverse hi-hat. There's that thing. I don't know what to call that. Yeah. It's like a percussive kind of like synth loop. I thought that sounded cool. Percussion loop. What's this? Yeah, this weird one. Bongo-y, percussion-y, found percussion kind of feel. And all together just kind of creates this vibe. Now, one thing that kind of sticks out to me, and also stuck out to me then, is like kind of the flammy feel of the snare versus like another. That hits fine, but it's like that kind of accents, but it's just off a little bit. So it's like a, but it's not bad. I don't know if I'd fix that, if I had to redo this or not, one of those hindsight kind of things, because it also adds to the whole feel of it. And then there's this other drum break, which is like a halftime. Yeah, a little delay on it, because, that section is basically the tune, but halftime. I think, well, I've planned to like use that section and kind of elongate it, make like a VIP of this tune at some point for an album project, whenever that happens. Yeah, don't quote me on when an album happens, but it's more like an interlude, kind of, calls back to a previous release, previous thing, because the album kind of encompasses everything up until that point, that kind of feeling. And then maybe I'll go for the verse I wrote, which again is more like, captures like the heads down feel. It's kind of like an MC in a dark room. I always like envision the SPMC, except he'd do it much better than I could and write something probably more I don't know. It's just me being self-deprecating. Anyway, that's the drums. Well, that's the whole tune, but we talked about the drums. Processing wise, it's kind of the same. Like if you watched any of these, you kind of know what I do. It's very simple. In this case, just EQs on these tracks. I really try not to go too much Camel Crusher, a little bit of compression, saturation, that kind of deal. This fat channel, this is EQ. Basically just rolls off the low end under 130. I mean, it's all percussion, but it does kind of help free up space. Like I've kind of, not that there's a whole lot of low end. There isn't like the drum break bits that cut, but I already EQ'd those out, Not a whole lot of transient shaper abuse. sidechain for the kick and bass because I really wanted like a very gelled feel of them like reacting and playing off each other. That's what adds the rhythm. Because if we listen to the drums without that, without the slight ducking or the extreme ducking from the sidechain, you get, and it works. Like I could adjust some levels and it might be fine, but it doesn't feel as tight as like it's kind of like a pumping and everything, which is desirable in this track. Yep, so percussion goes in the bus, group the clap and the snare together because that's normally it. Drums, nothing too crazy. Camel crusher, slight, what I said earlier. Saturation, distortion, all the good stuff. Supercharger, same thing, barely any compression. I really like the punch and the dirt. A lot of gritty saturation adds to the transients. Mag EQ for balance, a little bit on the top end. Balance stuff with EQ, ozone, and some spiky drums. So it tames a little bit before. And then this is just like a visualizer. You know, that's it. So that's drums. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Bass, even simpler. It's a drone, kind of Reese, kind of, you know, my usual. And it's Bahuda, like it's very much one note bass line. But that one note is effective because every now and then it does like a, yeah, and just like that simplicity is very hard to pull off. It can come off lazy, but if you like do it intentionally, which is the whole point of this drone and just sort of roll on, it works out really well to when there's something different that really, you know, sneaks out. And because this plays off like the pad, which we'll get to in a second, it's even more effective. You know? Like it's very much a tension. Like the whole thing is kind of tense, like a low level, like anxious, anxiety tense. And then it like opens up, then it comes back, gives you that feeling, brings it back in them. It never fully like, at least to the end of the breakdown, it never fully opens and, you know, reveals whatever it is. If you want to try and make a storyline out of it. I hate that. Oh, your track has a story. Like, no, it doesn't. It's 3 minutes of me messing around in my DAW. Anyway, hot take, right? Bass line, yeah, like I said, nothing, a little sauce fat, just saturation, that's it. Even a little bus, what does it sound like? There you go. Raw, out of the synth. I mean, it's nothing crazy. A little more EQ, super low end, shaping, rolling off top, track spacer, fit my kick in there. Remember, I wanted pumping. Instead of trying to fit the kick on top or carve out space, I want the whoa, whoa, whoa. I want that, you know, intentional. Yeah, and a little saturation send. It's not so obvious, but it adds altogether. So it adds a little bit more vibe. And that's it. That's bass. So the main ingredients is just this pad. What is big pad boy? That's it. If you look, this sample, which is just looped over and over. And if I take off effects, there you go. And it kind of has a tonal center. I don't think it's exactly like C sharp or whatever it says in the file, but I like found that and then kind of matched everything else to it. And it just gets very like a almost just loop like dub techno, kind of loops you in, pun intended, I guess. And then the sample. It very much just loops again. Then another one, jungly pad. reverse. So it kind of fades in and out and adds a lot of color all together. Yep, then they're all bust, and then slap all these effects on it, and you get this nice dub techno pad. Also, this is very much like this tune. It's very microfunk influenced, so bop, subwave, dissident, all those kind of guys. You know, very deep. Anyway, so you have this automation for the slow pass filter, very resonant. All it is just like go up and down, and that plays into this big delay, stock Studio One analog delay, which is like my favorite next to Waves H delay. I'm starting to use it a bit more, just because I like that, you know, analog dub delay, feel it feeding on itself kind of sound, you know. It just is very reactive and feels more alive. I don't know. Everything's digital. What am I saying? Really long delay tail. Remember, it's just big drone. That's the whole thing. It's very much a feeling. Like, even in headphones, it kind of comes across this like world, this muted kind of like scene, if you want to bring it there. There's field recordings and stuff going on, which I haven't like unmuted yet, but there's one that's just like me back home, just like slightly adds a bit of texture. You put it on top of the pad, it feels, you know, kind of places you in the scene. It also makes you want to listen a little closer, because this isn't all that loud, and this doesn't like do anything other than just drone on for 10 minutes or however long the song is, and I like cut it to make it fit. Remember, it's about the feeling, not necessarily like what I technically had to do, you know. Yeah, so big drone, all that, and a thing that adds interest, which is me and some sampling, some sample chopping. So we got from Splice, obviously. Real simple, real nothing. So how'd you do that? I just, you know, found a good one, cut out some chunks, made sure it was synchy. Yeah, here's a original sample. You know, if I just drop that in the tune and then put a little lo-fi drum beat, I'd be every lo-fi producer ever. Every background YouTube video song. Anyway, as if I don't do that already. So again, all together, it's about just little things here and there that just kind of grab your attention, kind of elevated at points, but it's very reserved, so it keeps you like, oh, what happens next? Without being like, okay, I've been waiting a while, what's going on? It's really tough, and this one took a while to pull off, I think, and I didn't think anything would come of it, but it's one of those, it's like I didn't expect a lot of reaction, but I got a lot of reaction. I don't know. See, now like the whole world's like, oh, tell you what. Then it's like intelligible. See how it opens up, that texture from that sampled pad and the field recording and the tell me, and everything kind of builds up to a point of, you know, tension, release, come back down. That's it. Techno. Techno. It's so, I don't know. There's like, yeah, that's it. It just does the same thing over and over. And then, no, there's that one last line. So in like mid breakdown, acid techno. Fades in, a lot of automation, no plugins, basic sound. Yeah, and it's got just a lot of automation, as you can see. Like there's like automating the compressor to make it like crushed in Camel Crusher, because I'm pretty sure the reverb in this, a little bit of it and some of the delay was like in the synth, so it's like really clamping down. And then we have low pass, high pass filter doing stuff. That's weird. Car driving through the apartment outside. Anyway. Yeah, and then there's like Endless Smile, which is kind of one of my favorite plugins. Just to add like the reverb. Reverb tails. There's some volume automation, so it's not too crazy. Fade in, fade out, that kind of deal. But again, it's about, the simplicity of the idea and just slightly adding things here and there. And this is kind of like, again, adding to the narrative, or whatever you want to say. It brings interest to the second half instead of just rolling it out like the first half was. So it has a bit more tension, there's a bit more movement, there's a bit more, And that, again, all the effects, the delays and everything, they play off of each other to really make this soundscape that is the Knights of Sandalwood. I don't know. It's one of those. Yeah. That's it. Sample still does the same thing. There's a couple like whooshes and claps and yo and okays and yeah. The field recording. But that is it. That's the tune. Yeah. Yep. Dark, hazy room, heads down, vibing out, that feeling. Anyway, everyone's usually like, how'd you master this? I didn't. Dan Newtone did. Hospital. A couple things like pre-master deal. Like I didn't do much with this one. Again, it was very much in the mix. This is probably the simplest tune I've made since I made this tune. And before it, that actually is also effective. Yeah, here's this EQ. It's not doing much, but like rolling off kind of like the side, low end side information. Pro L is just for me to work with, kind of get a vibe. Make it loud. That's it. Utility, this just fades out the end because this last section, SSL fades. Not a whole lot of tunes fade out. They just kind of end. But I liked the tune, the regular tune ends, and then it's like most people hit next or whatever. But when you're listening, you just let it go. It's like, we're back. It caught a lot of people off guard. Because you don't expect it. And I've been doing these end tags since this tune, I think, or a little bit before, which is kind of fun. And also teases a different version of the tune, without fully realizing it, and also kind of sets, if I'm thinking about it right, it sets me up for future projects. Like I said, this is going to be an interlude on the album, if that ever comes to fruition. But yeah, it's also just fun to do. In this section, it's also halftime swing, so it's I had to nudge stuff over a little bit more, and this cut for the sample is different than the cut earlier because it's rhythmically different, so the tell me instead of tell me, which is slightly, Me and my rhythm and my swing. Anyway, that's Sandalwood Nights. As usual, if you want me to go in deeper on anything else within this tune, or maybe talk about, I don't know, more of the overall idea, or anything, any questions, you let me know. I'll make another video, or I'll write something out, or you can DM me, we can have a conversation, or jump in the Discord if you're not a part of that. Bachelor's Anonymous. And yeah, talk about it there. Anyway, I've been Winslow. See you next time.